No sympathy for the devil. Keep that in mind. Buy the ticket. Take the ride. And if occasionally it gets a little heavier than what you had in mind, well, maybe chalk it up to forced consciousness expansion. Tune in, freak out, get beaten. It's a quote by Hunter S. Thompson, and it perfectly, that wanted to jump out here. Ooh, Page of Cups in reverse. Somebody's scared to take the ride. Somebody's scared to dream. They're scared to push the line. Push the line a little further from where it's been set in place. Is it set in place? I was told that all of life is a stage, and this is theater, darling. You can make it whatever you want it to be truly at this time. We are all writing our own scripts. We are all casting ourselves in the starring role, and yeah, see, why not make it your big moment, your big debut? It's up to you how you want to invest your energy in the way this next trip rolls out. Looks like things might have just gotten really mixed up here. Or did they? Maybe not so much. Maybe not as much as you think they did. We're going to look at the next 48 hours since I'm jumping into the week here a day later than I usually do. I have some irons in the fire myself. There's a lot of energy that really is sort of mounting beneath the surface right now. It's very wild, it's very feral, it's very unbridled, and we've been talking about that here. And if I had to really try to define it in any way, which seems almost oxymoronic, because there's not really any way that you can define this energy. It's something that's more tapped into experientially. You have to go for the ride, or you can't really understand this energy. It really goes to waste. It really goes idle. And that truly is a bit of a devilish thing in this sort of climate, because this is an opportunity to go somewhere where you've never gone before. It really does feel like Dionysus held hostage in Zeus's nutsack and just wanting to plot a strategy to bust loose early, you know, just ready to get out there and experience. I had a really wild dream, and I know that it's tapped into the collective energy. I was lucid dreaming, so I was just, you know, tripping out on one of those parallel dimensions out there. And I was in this huge airport terminal, and there were all of these people there. And on the screens, there were images of different locations, and they all had their flight numbers. And what was weird, though, is the locations were like different times that I had been in my life. Like, you could go anywhere you wanted to go. Time was obsolete. There was no such thing as distance. It was just a matter of sort of snapping your fingers and you're there. It's just like a little shift, a shift in consciousness. But once you get that ticket, you go for that ride, you're in it for the ride, and however it rolls out. And that has to be part of it, you know. There does need to be a little bit of this sort of devil may care, throw caution to the wind attitude, where you can be able to sort of thumb your nose at fate and get ready for this kind of an experience. That's what we're looking at when we're looking at Neptune in Aries. We're in this for the long haul, right in tandem with the energy of Pluto and Aquarius. So nothing's going to stay the same. You can go on the same trip, but you're not going to get a different ride. It might be even more exaggerated than what you experienced before, especially because it will need to come through as a catalyst in your life. Something that really can crack you open to your full potential. And so it can't come at you half-assed. It has to come at you full bore. And that's an experience too, you know. And have you ever had one of those experiences in your life where you were like, man, that was a rough ride and I really effed up. But at the same time, like looking back on it, I wouldn't have it any other way, because if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have awakened this in me. And it's this that's really starting to stir in you right now. And a lot of you did use your key. You did. And you discovered that you were the answer to unlock all this potential that was held inside you all along. And now there's going to be paths that are appearing before you that give you the potential to choose which way you want to go. So I digress. Let's loop back to this dream. So I'm looking at all of these, different destinations that I've been to before, and certain destinations I'd always dreamed of going, and then certain things that I didn't even recognize. And I'm looking at my ticket in my hand, and I'm seeing other people that I recognize, and they're also looking at their tickets too. And I'm seeing what looks like the collective as a whole, as in the global collective. And we're all in this terminal, and we all got our ticket stubs, and we're all ready to go for the ride. And so we started to fall in line, and go to the gateway where we were told to go on our ticket. And I went to go and get in line with, some people that I recognize, because I thought for sure, we're going to the same place. We must be. And I got stopped along the way by TSA. I don't know. This is like transgalactic, security. And they said, let me see your ticket here. And they're like, no, you're not at this gate. You're not at this gate. You need to go over to this gate here. You respect yourself too much to go on that trip again. You've come to really understand what love is within yourself. You can't go on that trip. You got to go this gate over here. I'm like, but I don't recognize anything there. And they're like, that's where you're going, man. And I think it's really something coming through for the collective right now. There's all of this mounting energy, and the longer it gets held within, the more it's going to feel like a burden, because it really wants to be expressed. It wants to become something. It doesn't just want to stay in this state of, well, maybe. And so there does need to be a certain level of risk, because you got to hedge your bets a little bit. There's no guarantees how anything will turn out, right? No guarantees. There's no guarantees that the dream will turn out the way you think it will. Could it be disillusioning? It could, but it's so true. Even when things come undone, you learn something in that process if you commit to the journey ahead. So I thought that was kind of an interesting energy there. All this creative potential. And it looks like we're all getting our coordinates, because there is something that we did unlock with that key. There is something that we did come to discover, even if it was just something quietly admitted to ourselves in a moment of awareness that, yeah, that's what really fuels my heart. That's what makes me feel that fire come back into my heart again. Certain truth that we came to rest upon. And remember, that key, often it first opens up a door of perception in the consciousness. And well, that's what's required to make anything manifest in the outer reality. So I thought, let's look at the next 48 hours here and see how this energy is going to develop. And when I say 48 hours, please view it more as a reality tunnel that we're collectively mocking up here. It's not a limitation in the traditional constructs of time and space. It's fluid, it shifts, it morphs, it's eternal, okay? It's the eternal now is what's always going down. Past, present, future really makes no difference. It's all the same trip. But when we're sort of held up in a place that we already experienced, that's the way that we can kind of bind our energy up. And this energy doesn't want to be bound. This energy wants to explore. The exploration vibes are really strong. The rebellion vibes are really strong with Neptune in Aries. There's also a very sort of like spicy quality that is a bit theater. It can get overly dramatic, sure. But it also allows us to embrace a more kind of Dionysian sort of perspective. It is very Dionysian. Neptune in Aries is very Dionysian. And this is going to be with us for a long time, you know, this energy. So I guess we got to learn how to live deliciously. And sometimes that means getting some bumps and bruises and scrape ups along the way. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out the way we think it will. Interesting how this energy keeps coming in upside down. Well, sometimes things need to go upside down to turn right side up. Sometimes you need to take a left to make it right. Look at this. Yeah, I mean, we got this 8 of Wands in reverse. This is like not going for the ride, man. Not going for the ride. Weighing up something so long that you don't go anywhere at all. And that's really the devilish quality here. That's where you can't get any sympathy if you don't even have the courage, you know, to open yourself up for the experience. There's nobody else to blame but oneself if you don't have the courage to open yourself up to the experience of life. I mean, that's what you're here to do. You're here to experience. And there are no safe spaces, man. So the sooner we kind of embrace this and understand that that's something that can serve as a limitation for us when we recognize there are no safe spaces in life, or it is something that actually can kind of like light us up and go, well, if there are no safe spaces, then maybe it's good to take a little risk, right? It's good to take a little risk. Yeah. It's good to take a little risk. It's good to be the beginner. It's good to try something new. It's good to feel like you're a little bit of a fish out of the water, like you're out of your element. You're just a noob. You don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what's ahead. It's a little bit awkward, but it's also exciting if you admit it to yourself. 7 of Swords. But see, this is the problem, is everybody always kind of figures a pathway to get ahead of, you know, the curve, or get ahead of someone else, or make sure that in their efforts to feel safe that they kind of pull something a little bit stealth or sneaky to protect their interests and kind of get over on another. And this is the kind of stuff that can really hold us up, because when we're in this kind of energy where we're too concerned about what others are doing or where others are going, what ends up happening is our experience becomes quite artificial. It doesn't spring from a genuine place of spontaneity and personal interest. It's more dictated by the flow of others' lives. And so that's when we can kind of get caught up on somebody else's trip and be like, I never wanted to go to this location in the first place. Like, what's up with that? So sometimes all the strategizing is the very thing that can really hold you up, hold you back. All right? So if the world's a stage and it's theater and you can make it whatever you want to be, when are you going to recognize that divine timing is right here, right now, and you've always held it in your hands? You're the one who holds the power of the alchemical moment. It's about you deciding what you want to pour into here. And as soon as you embrace that, that's when the journey will begin. This deck is all topsy-turvy, man. It's all over the place. There's so much fear around, like, getting it wrong. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to make the same kind of investment I did last time. It really didn't go the way I expected. Because there's the awareness that there's no safe spaces. It's like, if I'm going to go into this territory, that means I got to let down my guard. You mean I got to let down the drawbridge? I mean, what if pirates come in and they hold me captive? I mean, that happened to Dionysus, but he was able to handle things quite efficiently, you know? If you're meant to rise to a particular challenge, if that is your destiny as the protagonist in your story, you'll be given the means you need in maybe quite an unexpected way, okay? Look at this. It's just so much reticence. Fire held back. Fire, creative potential, decisiveness, daring, valiance, thirst for life, just totally absent. Apathy. And see, that's where you won't get any sympathy, because apathy is one of the primary tools of that trickster energy. The more apathetic you are, the more malleable you are, and before you know it, you've just wasted all your creative potential. Years can pass you by and you wonder, why do I feel like life has just left me behind? It's because you never bought the ticket. You never went for the ride. But I think that over the next 48 hours, it seems after you unlocked a certain truth within your consciousness, a certain awareness, that's going to stew a little bit. And I think you're going to decide to finally make that investment. Even if your ticket has you going some destination you never have been before. And I think this is something that's very key to understand at this time. Nothing is the way it ever has been and ever will be. This time is very unique. It's a pivotal time for all of us. There's a lot that's being balanced out here, you see. So your action that you're about to take, it's essential. And you do have a choice. You can go back on trips that had you living at this state of inequity. Inequity just in the sense that you have all this creative potential and yet you allowed it to be put in somebody else's hands who called the shots over your life. Or, you know, you can choose to push the envelope a little bit, you know, and live life on your terms and start to take a risk to move toward that which is really starting to light up your heart space here. And even though it might be a little heavy at times, and even though it might challenge you, and even though it might require you to go to some places that you'd rather avoid along the way, but they're necessary depots that get you to that destination, which is just one destination of many, because the trip never ends, it just begins again. You know, there always has to be the first step, right? The first step out of the crossroads, okay? So all I see is that there's the desire to really bring the energy that's been pent up forward. And the more that it's held back, the more it creates a sense of heaviness, a sense of inertia in the body, all right? So look for more clues about where you're heading here as we slowly start to edge up to that ring of fire in Aquarius on the 17th. Of course, we got a big spotlight coming onto the scene on Sunday with the full moon in Leo. That's really going to light things up. That's going to let you know where your terminal is, okay? So you may be surprised, you know, how things start to shape up for you here. But it's go time. And you got your keys. And the keys you have bring with them great gifts. Not just for you, but for another, for others. And it is absolutely something that is right in alignment with your soul's directive. And it's right on time. Even if it may appear inconvenient at first, you'll be able to feel a sense of peace with it because you know it's your truth. There may be something that does require a little bit of a rough edge to accept something that may feel a little bit heavy about aligning with this. But there's also something about trusting. And it may even just be the heaviness of pains in the past or things that have hurt you before that still kind of play out in your consciousness and might make you a little fearful of opening up to such a state of vulnerability. But once you truly land in that place of love within yourself, once you truly do land in that place where you completely accept yourself, all of your experiences, the rough stuff, the beautiful stuff, the sad stuff, the stuff that hurt you to your core, the stuff that you feel a real healthy sense of pride around, all of it, okay? Once you come to a place where whatever choices you made, you know that you did it your way. I answered the call at that time. I did what I had to do. Maybe I didn't make the best call, but I see the way I grew from that experience. I wouldn't know what I know now had I not gone down that road. I wouldn't be who I am now if I hadn't gone there. And then you recognize that, hey, you know, I'm cool with who I am. That's when you finally get beyond this, where you allow like all this old stuff, these old stories, these old experiences from keeping you in this place of containing all of your creative energy because you're just so scared of having an experience. You can't really experience anything, at least not anything worthwhile, if you aren't willing to let down your guard and open yourself up to it. Yes, yes, yes. You see, you keep trying to move forward, but you keep carrying all the old thoughts and all the old stories and all the old pain forward with you. And you've been doing it since you were a kid. And it's just the same trip over and over and over again. And I'm not saying there's not stuff that we do need to integrate and acknowledge and heal. We go through really painful experiences. We have traumas, you know. Name one human being who doesn't have some kind of trauma, but there does come a point when you have to recognize that that was just one experience, or that was a period of time in your life. And unless you want to keep reliving that experience, at some point you have to ask yourself, what came out of that? And where do I want to go now with what came out of that can fuel my fire for this next trip? And I see what you're not expecting is there's this big awakening moment coming. And over the next 48 hours, there's going to be something, it rises up through you, through the ground of your being. It's something that's been there all along. You just haven't noticed it. This isn't like a bolt that comes from out of the blue. This is a tower of power. It rises up through you and it has you laying down all of your burdens. You're no longer in the dark. You're lit up from within. Some of you, this is something going on with your root chakra, man. Your root got rocked by some experience you went through. It took all the wind out of your sails. It made you lose your sense of confidence. For some of you, it rocked you so hard you don't even know who you are anymore. Congratulations to not know who you are anymore, because who you were before was living more from a place of who others told you you were, that you just bought into because it made your life easier, or so you thought. It actually has been a tremendous burden. And you're going to see that when you lay it down. And I feel like this is something shifting in the root chakra, like you're releasing something. Some of you actually released some energetic attachment, something that was tapped into your root. And it's like the first time your soul's essence, your pure energy is coming back on board. And it's that creative energy, that Dionysian energy that can embrace the theater of life, that can embrace the delicious experiences of life, that can embrace the more hedonistic spirit, the joy of life, the fullness of life. And also, where need be, the vengeance to protect what is worthwhile. That's what's going to rise up through you. It's like the root is being blown open, and it's doing so there can be a new foundation laid in your life. Something new. This isn't a foundation that you have ever built from before. It's something you're drawing down, but it can't get rooted until the root is clear. And I see something coming through. It's a big awakening moment. Some of you may be having an experience of an uncoiling, you know, some kind of a kundalini activation. This could just be something really freeing in your body, that suddenly you really do feel a sense of grounding, a sense of rooted quality in your reality. And you just feel so in harmony with it that you're willing to sort of like move through spaces that used to hold you back out of anticipation of fear or loss or injury. You're like, F it, man. I just got to go there. And if I get beaten, well, maybe I do. Maybe the devil bests me, but there's something I learn along the way. You can't always win when you gamble. But if you know how to play your hand right, there really is no losing hand, because there's always something to gain from your time sitting at the table. Okay? Always something to gain from your time sitting at the table. Yeah. So stop fighting it, man. That's why you feel so pressurized. That's why there's so much conflict in your life. You're holding back all of this energy. It's all this potential. For whatever reason, you're afraid, oh, people will react to it, or you know you're going to get pushed back. You don't want to have to defend your actions. Who says you have to defend your actions? You don't need to try to reason with people who are completely unreasonable. And they may think you're being unreasonable. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I am. Do I need to have a reason to follow the creative force that's moving through me? No. No, I'm not pulling a fast one. I'm just not willing to waste my time on things that are frittering my creative energy anymore. I'm ready to go to more dynamic places. I'm ready to push it where I've never pushed it before. And maybe I do know you. And maybe you do know me. But do you? Do you really? These are parts of you that you've never showed anyone before. Maybe even parts of you you've never even showed yourself, and they're starting to rise to the surface. You never saw yourself doing this. You never saw yourself going there. You never saw yourself wanting to connect with a certain person, or wanting to go down a certain path, or never thought you would deal with that situation ever again. And yet, even if you're revisiting something, you're not revisiting anything that's familiar to you, because everything is different now. And it's not just you, it's everyone. Everything's changing. There are no safe spaces. The greatest freedom comes in acknowledging that there are no safe spaces. There are no guarantees. There never is. There never is, not for anything in life. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner your road opens up for you, the sooner more paths of exploration become evident, the sooner you really start to live again. Okay? So there's something coming through here in the next 48 hours that's going to set this energy in motion. This energy is going to continue to build momentum leading up to that Aquarian ring of fire on the 17th. Ooh, yeah, see? Because one journey has come to an end. You really can't nurture the way you were going forward before. To do so just diminishes your power. There's no loyalty to a path that is disloyal to yourself. Do you understand that? Like, something really does need to shift here. There needs to be a new way for moving forward. And sometimes that scares people, especially if they feel like, well, I don't want things to change too drastically. Well, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You know, if you're happy with who you're with, But maybe, things have just gone a little bit stale or something. This is bringing more of yourself into the room. People get lost in their friendships. They get lost in their connections with family members. They get lost in their connections with lovers. Lines become blurred and you lose your sense of individuality. You don't mean to. You don't intend to. It's just things get blurred. And this is about exploring something just for you, waking up a part of you that will bring forward the best parts of you, that only enhances your connections with others. But man, people who can't get on board with that and they can't accept who you authentically are, well, they might need to, get on another flight. You're not going to that destination, And this is an opportunity to connect with new people and connect with new experiences. And it's a good thing because you don't have enough spoons for this anymore. One journey's come to an end. It's not really a question of loyalty to others. It's a question of loyalty to your soul's directive. Start looking at things in a new way. And if you following a path rouses people's ire because you're listening to your soul, and that lets you know, that might be a path that needs to be left behind. Permanently, I don't know. Like I said, there are no guarantees. Anything can happen. Life is always changing. Nothing is in a state of stagnancy except within our own minds. And so there's a lot of people that just waste their lives because they never move anything into action. They just stay thinking about things always. They never switch anything up. They never risk anything. They're too afraid of all this stuff that's in the mind, like what other people will think, what other people will say, How unsettling it may feel to break out of a mold, do something different. Or some people really have an issue with like being a beginner, They want to be perfect. They want to be the expert and they really care about the optics, like how it looks, how it appears. They're not willing to look like a fool. And people who are never willing to look like a fool or never willing to be a beginner, well, they lose out the most, man. They never really live. So you're getting an opportunity to really live. It's being highlighted for you. Open up to this reality tunnel over the next 48 hours. Open up to this reality tunnel that everything is showing up over the next 48 hours to highlight to you where you're really itching to break out of a mold, do something different. And notice what comes up for you when that really confronts you. Does it make you feel afraid? Do you feel self-conscious? Do you get nervous? Do you want to hide? Does it make you want to check out, numb out? Pay attention. It's there showing you something of importance. Maybe the recognition makes you really feel like you're in the hot seat, like, oh man, I'm so effed. Really? This is the next chapter of my story? I gotta show up and represent this to leave me alive, man. Oh, but you're hungry like the wolf and you just got to follow the light of the moon. You got to head into the mystery. You have to head down the path less traveled. That's what's going to be lit up by that Leo full moon on the 1st. And there may be different parts of you that want to have a say in it. It might not even be people outside of you. Like I said, there's a lot of creative energy here. So you may even be at odds with yourself because you're like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'd like to go here and there. And you can do it all, man. You really can. But there does need to be an initial first step. And there's no way that you can open up to the experience of this chapter if you're living from a place of fear. And there's no way that you can head into this montage moment if you're self-conscious or you're afraid of stuff of the mind, other people's judgments, what they're going to say, even how uncomfortable you feel around it, You'll know it's the thing when no matter how nervous you may feel or self-conscious you may feel, you can't help it. You're like, I got to do it. I just got to do it. I got to push through the fear. And some of you may feel like, I don't have that thing yet. Something's going to get lit up for you here. Pay attention. Buy the ticket. Go for the ride through this reality tunnel next 48 hours. Look at life through this lens. Something's showing up here. It's showing me where I need to face a certain fire test of truth. I need to get in the hot seat. I need to be transformed by an experience that I know this is a chapter that belongs in my storyline. And there's many paths of exploration that come through when you allow yourself to just open up to this first quest, okay? This first quest, even if it's something you're starting to explore in your mind, it's okay, all right? It's okay. I want to make space for those who are really just starting to open up again, you know? You've been really fearful about opening up to life again, or maybe you're a real sensitive soul and you feel the weight of the world. You feel all the intensity of everything rolling out right now, everything that's going on in the world. And it makes you feel like you don't want to take risks, you know. Maybe you've been in the fear more. Consider this perspective, you know, if nothing's guaranteed and we don't know how things are going to roll out, well, even more reason to squeeze every bit of sweet nectar out of life as possible, right? Don't leave things to wait. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed for any of us here, okay? And it's okay. It's okay if you've been feeling really nervous about just opening up to life again, opening up to another again, opening up to a path of exploration again, whatever it may be. Just start to explore it. Explore it. Demonstrate your willingness to life and watch what comes through for you. I think you'll be really surprised by what you find. Yeah, just allow those fears to fall behind you, man. Because there's so much ready to come through you now. This is like the moment where you haven't just dropped. You're already in the birthing canal, okay? Like rebirth is imminent here. 3737. Wheel of Fortune turning. Judgment on the scene. A new cycle's about to begin. But it's up to you whether you want to author that or you want to let the fears that have been holding you back author your storyline. It's up to you. You don't have to go it alone either. I mean, I'm telling you, this energy has been coming through so strongly. All I know is there's somebody that you're supposed to meet along the way or journey with along the way. There's somebody along for this ride. There's something you two are learning together. And this person, don't put a limitation on who it is. It can be anybody, man. It can be a lover. It can be your soulmate, your undying love. But it can also be just a real good ally, man. A real good friend. Somebody who gets you, you get them. And your energies, they just mesh together so well that it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to head down this stretch of the road with this person, and the things you pull off and the capers you'll have and the stories you'll have to tell, the anecdotes you'll be able to share as a result of your travels and your adventures. Well, it's something to really celebrate. You know, this could be somebody that you're healing with. This is somebody of significance. And I think this is something that's also unfolding a bit more over the next 48 hours. You're really understanding who are those people of significance that are coming into view for me? Or what is the path of significance that's coming into view for me that will be the path that leads to very, very important allies that are meant to join you on this particular stretch of road? It's good though. It's getting beyond fear. It's getting beyond fear, okay? So some of you, this may involve an actual trip. You've been holding back on taking a trip somewhere, going somewhere. You're going to buy the ticket. You're going to go for the ride. There's something about that. You've been nervous about what it would open up to you. Maybe you understand, if I go on this trip, like, it's the point of no return, you know? This shifts everything. Once I open up to this experience, or if I make this call, if I contact this person, if I, you know, sign up for that class, whatever this is, you know? Yeah, I mean, you've been weighing out your options for a while. And I think there's a lot that's showing up on your path over these next 48 hours that are really highlighting what options are really worth exploring here. Yes, it's going to take strength to head down this road, but you're going to have vigor lit up within you because you're facing your fears, and through facing your fears, that's how the light gets through. That's how you gain your wisdom, through facing your fears. You can't find the light until you've made it through the dark. If you think about it, if the light's always around you, well, it's always there. But if you're trying to find the light in your life, obviously you have to continue making that stretch through the unknown, through the dark, before you can discover the light there. That's where you find the light. You find it in the dark. Light wouldn't even exist without darkness. You got protection here. And yeah, there's some things you're going to have to cut off. But if you play it right, man, it's going to be a slam dunk. It involves you really activating your consciousness, bringing forward the wisdom of your experiences, and knowing, you know, the wisdom that came from those, well, misadventures as well, because they had their value. And the value was, that's how you earned your wings, you know? And you're in this kind of like phoenix rising energy. And yes, it is hard. It is hard. It isn't easy, especially when you've been inert for so long, to move against the current, to birth a new beginning in your life. But your dance card's going to be full. And this is a much different experience. And like I said, it's theater. And this is the stage called life. And your story can be whatever you want it to be. So why limit it? Why go along with somebody else's script? It's time for you to write your own script. And this is where the true wealth is. The true wealth of experience. Also, it's the thing that opens up abundance for you. And I didn't even see this. This card came out here, crossing energy. Ah, yes. Yes. Some of you are afraid, you know. You're afraid to really be at peace with the direction you want to head in, because you feel like in some way it mars a pristine image, or a role that you've really sold people on, as far as like, well, this is who I am and this is what I represent. And some of you may even feel like you're backtracking a bit. This could even be something that at one point you turned your nose up at. Now you're like, well, actually, you know, oh man, I've been caught slipping. Damn, you know. You may have actually been feeling really almost a sense of anger towards somebody that you feel like you want to harmonize with now, because maybe you're starting to understand too, like this person actually represented the repressed parts of me, you know, that I really wanted to step into. That's what was really getting my goat. Well, maybe I can learn a bit from that goatish nature, you know, and I can head into this territory too. Just understand though, you know, you may get beaten, you may freak out. And when I say you may get beaten, I mean, it may be a case where, you know, yeah, you have to make some kind of concession, like, man, you know, I didn't understand it back there, but I get it now. I see your point of view, you know. Some people feel the need to always be right, or to always have the upper hand, and it's difficult to admit, like, I learned something from you back there, you know. I see things differently now, okay? 44 on the clock. That may be this like shocking moment. It's like, oh, whoa. Once that root gets cleared and something's recovered here, that may be what it is for some of you. Let me do a cut of the deck and see what we got here. Yeah, this effing guy back on the scene. Wait a minute. I'm ready, okay? I finally know what I need to do. I know we've been through this many times before. I've been trying to go at this thing since the time of the Great Pyramids, but I'm back again because I can't help it. The creative power has really been lit up within me. It's teeming, and I'm tired of keeping it in my head. I'm tired of all this Dionysian greatness being held back in Zeus's nutsack. And I'm just ready to go and have an adventure in the woods and frolic and experience the resurfacing of my wild nature that's just been held back far too long. Yes, this is also like some kind of conversation, some kind of meeting of minds that like, it really lights something up in your consciousness, or it's like something that comes through in your meditation, or it could be something that comes through in your dream state that you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Or it's just like an idea that comes in out of the blue and you're like, this is it. You know, some of you have been waiting for something outside of yourself to sort of get you going here. And it's actually something that more needs to sort of rise up through you. And that's what's coming through here. And it ain't random, man. It's not. It's not random. This is a very unique experience to you and your path. But there might be something about it that you feel like it makes an old identity fall away in a way that can be like a little uncomfortable maybe, because you're like, oh, I'll never do that. You know, it's sort of like a stance you used to have before is now not really holding weight any longer. And to make that a mission can feel a little bit revealing in a way that initially may feel uncomfortable, but ultimately it's something you're celebrating. That's what I got, okay? And I'm sticking to it. Let's go ahead and get some numbers of significance here. I like it. It's very playful, free, spicy, edgy kind of energy. All right. Yeah, look, man, I'm telling you, it's go time. All right. So you got to allow yourself to pass go here, man. You can't stay hung up at the crossroads anymore, you know? It is time for change. It is time to raise that wand of the magician, to act out of that energy of Neptune in Aries and say, all right, I'm going to lead the charge. I'll be the first to go down this path of exploration. It's really awakening that part of you and moving out of the place of the choice and actually heading into action here. It's a cool energy. It's very playful energy. It absolutely gets activated with that Leo full moon. I feel like that's when something really fundamentally shifts. It's like the lights come on in the room, and once you see it, you'll never be able to kind of like put that dream back to bed. That's what I got. It's like something gets lit up here. You have to move it into action. You understand that it is the seed of your new vision, and it is something that you are meant to manifest. This is something you're meant to root here. And it is an act of power. It is an act of power. And I feel like it does bring a blessing here. It brings the blessings of Jupiter in Cancer, you know? There's something coming through here that's like a little wink from Venus saying, yeah, now this is more like it, you know? It's something that makes mama happy, okay? Makes that chaos mom happy. Like finally, you're actually working with the creative potential here. Let me give you a little sweet reward, okay? A little sweet reward, a little golden apple for your efforts. You know, yeah, I mean, it might stir up a little bit. It's true. We're not going to deny this, okay? It might stir up a little bit. It could stir up a little bit of chaos. It could stir up a little bit of dissension, but that's not really important here. I mean, you do have to rock a previous foundation. 49-49 on the clock. 13-13. Double fours, just like here. Raw power. It's the raw activation of power, and you're using it in a way you've never used it before, and it's very transformational, and it's actually igniting a new vision, a new pathway forward. And I'm telling you, this also is like that 11-11 energy. This is alignment. This is an arrival point. You're arriving at the terminal. You're arriving at the terminal. You are getting the first inklings of the terminal that you will be arriving at by the time we get to that ring of fire in Aquarius on the 17th. You got signs of this coming through. There are signs and synchronicities coming through here. We got life path 1, life path 5, life path 6, life path 8, life path 4. Could be really feeling this. I also feel the 1st through the 5th of February. A lot going down. All the energy that's shifting up here, it's really going to start to roll out there. So I feel like over the next 48 hours, what you're really getting is the initiation of this energy within you. It's like something's getting cleared out of the root, or something is fundamentally changing the foundation that you've been building upon. Woo, is 51-15 coming in there. Yes, double sixes. 12, the blind spot is revealed. A karmic cycle comes to a close, and you're moving into the flow of that Neptunian energy. That's the thing about Neptune and Aries. Neptune and Aries can take a dream, an impossible dream, out of the void and just totally bring it to life through the fuel of the fire and being willing to be that torch bearer. This is like, I'll go first, you know? You got the torch, you're going to go first. You're going to light up the way. You're not going to be alone, maybe initially, okay? It could stir up a little bit of drama. There could be people who don't get what you're doing. They have opposition. These are people that are like very stuck in their ways, you know? They like predictability. And I think a lot of people do. I think that's very common. So I think when you do anything that's a little bit out of the norm, or what's considered socially acceptable, or you hedge your bets a little bit, or you decide, I don't want to do what I've always been doing. I'm ready to switch it up. But people are really comfortable with who you've always been. I mean, it's not realistic to anticipate there's not going to be any shakeups around that, but I think it really works out to your benefit. I have to be honest with you, man. I have to be honest with you. Characters you could be dealing with. You could be dealing with Aries, Leo, Virgo, Cancer, Scorpio energies coming through pretty strong here. Sagittarius. Yeah, it's really getting lit up with the Leo full moon, and there's something here that lets you know I need to get heading towards that terminal so I can make my connecting point. That's what I feel. That's what I feel, and I'm sticking to it. There's pretty strong Gemini energy coming through there too. Yeah, looking at it from the vantage point of the tarot, magician energy on the scene very strongly. Lover's energy on the scene. The Emperor's here. Strength. In some cases, justice. Depends on the deck. Okay, so Libran energy. Real strong Leo energy. All right. Also, Hierophant. And Hierophant is kind of coming through for me more because of how I relate to the Hierophant. I relate to the Hierophant more as a kind of like gatekeeper kind of energy. Something that wants to stand in the way as the intermediary for your creative power. That is actually something that you're already totally plugged into. You got a direct channel to it. But there could be something in relation to your beliefs or some authority figure in your life that you feel like they're the gatekeeper when it comes to you actually tapping into this and activating that. And you're going to have to overthrow that false sense of authority so you can really own that you have a direct link. You have a direct link. I mean, this is the time too when the Awen really does get lit. It is the time coming in tandem with that Leo full moon on the 1st of what is known as Imbolc. It's like the first milk. It's like what comes through to bring life back to the land where everything grows. And it is the time when Breed comes forward with her creative cauldron and the fire is lit, and it can bring forward a lot of bardic inspiration. It can really just have you teeming with creativity and something that lights you on fire that's quite transformational. And when you're lit up by Awen, there's nothing to do but give yourself over to it. So you can't have this sort of like gatekeeper energy there. This is about you recognizing that you have a direct link. You don't need permission to answer the call of this creative charge that is being invested in you. Okay? And I know that's true. Came in with 55, 56 on the clock. This is the Wheel of Fortune coming in to set you out on a brand new journey and open up a whole new cycle, another trip around the zodiac. Okay, it's being initiated with that Neptune in Aries energy, but it brings us justice, it brings us balance, and in some decks 11 is actually strength, so it gives us the strength for the road ahead. We have the ability to pull this off. All right, let's get a little ERISIAN Spirit Board action coming in here. Just give us some more clues. What to be on the lookout for, signposts and synchronicities. Something's trying to roll away there. Let me see, what's that trying to roll away there? It's an O. Oh my. I don't know why. I mean, it's more of a macrocosmic message, but something about Oprah trying to roll away. I don't know. Trying to make her terminal ASAP. I don't know why that came through, but it did. It does give me sort of like the vibe of an entryway, a portal. It also looks like, you know, the pupil of an eye, something you're seeing. You're seeing with great precision here where there's an opening, something that makes you go, oh, I never thought of it like that. This is a way through that's coming in. You don't see it yet. That's what I got. In relation to that, I also got Gen X coming through here. I like this. Ooh, and here comes Ted busting in on the scene. Okay, Ted. He barged this way in. Yeah, I'm going to make a way, okay? This could be coming through really strongly for Gen Xers, you know. We remember a time when we were more daring, right? Life was for living, you know. We weren't so tapped into a virtual reality. That didn't even exist for us when we were younger. And I do feel like this is that kind of spirit really coming forward. I do feel like it's something getting ignited. And this may even be, you know, some of us older set leading the younger set. Normally it's, you know, the other way around, but we have the benefit of hindsight that a lot of the younger generations don't have in terms of freedom, pushing the envelope, not needing to have everything so safe, so PC, so fall in this line in order to be acceptable. And that, I think that's something that I really value, you know, having mentors and guides of all different ages. I know people of all different ages, you know, and I feel like everybody has wisdom, insight, things to share of value. And there's stuff that older people can learn from younger people and vice versa. But I do feel like there's something here, especially in terms of Gen X, where Gen Xers really do have something to teach the younger set about knowing when to hedge your bets a little bit and knowing when to think outside the box and not playing it so safe and not having to be so, you know, politically correct all the time. Okay, it's this kind of spirit that's really waking up. I think a lot of Gen Xers will be happy about that. There's this energy coming through too about being dazed and confused, you know. I think there is sort of this energy that's very prevalent. A lot of people are checking out. I think it can be just sort of a knee-jerk reaction when things feel really heavy or overwhelming or undefinable. People want to sort of numb themselves out rather than really getting plugged in. But there is something about really getting consciously plugged in right now that's like the kiss of life, you know. It's something that wakes you up from a slumber. This is also about breaking the mold. Do not be a clone. It's like this cloning energy is coming through very strongly. I mean, certainly scientifically, it's something that's forward right now. But more and more, this is like starting to become the norm, where it's this homogenization. And this is what we need to move away from, this state of being really dull and listless. There's this quality that's coming through that, you know, it's just like it was back during the time of the summer of love. There's a lot of similar challenges that we're moving through, facing in our reality right now. I mean, these things are kind of cyclical too, these revolutionary times that come to stir everybody up, wake everybody up. And what always comes through during a time like this is not just like a call to rise or to push things a little bit, to challenge what we've been told, but also really an infusion of creativity. It's always evident anytime we're moving out of sort of a dying age, this creative energy really mounts. It's needed to make a new way forward. So it is time to wake up, become more conscious, become more engaged, however you do that, okay? And it may be, for some of you, stepping away from the screen. If you're too plugged into that, like when was the last time you sat down with somebody and you looked them in the eyes and you had a conversation with them? Or when did you get out in your community and connect with other people? Or, you know, when did you go and have an adventure or do something you haven't done before or learn something new, you know? The consciousness needs to be lit up instead of further numbed out in a state of avoidance right now. I think that's really important. There's a lot coming through at this time that's helping you really see, as a result of sort of what you've surrounded yourself with, what you value. Okay? What you value. And if you're looking at what you got going on around you and you feel like, well, but this isn't what I value, then that's a key for you. That's a key of transformation. It's letting you know where you've just been kind of like phoning it in, where you've been playing it too safe. Got safe out here. Yeah, you've been playing it too safe. Yeah. Playing it too safe. You need to open up to a little transformation here by, you know, getting out of your usual depths, going into the deep. And we got eel coming through here. Very similar kind of medicine as serpent medicine. Transformational, but a little bit more electrifying, you know, especially on an emotional level. Something's coming through here to really light you up. I also got the energy of Selkie coming through here. And there's always the cautionary tale of Seal Woman, you know, who lost her identity by sacrificing essential parts of herself, lost her place of belonging because of the huntsman who, you know, grabbed a hold of her coat and kind of like held her hostage. And she adapted herself to a life that really wasn't who she was at all. Okay, so there's something about this too. Not losing your power. And people will tell you, you know, that once you lose your power, it's very difficult to get it back. But difficult does not imply impossible. And sometimes you need to have an experience where you do lose your power because there's something the master maker pulls through you through testing your mettle that invokes within you a quality and empowerment you wouldn't have been able to hold otherwise, had you not had to really claw your way back to stepping into your power again. And this can be really understanding the value of that, the value of the creative power you hold to transform your life, your circumstances, your reality. I mean, I really dig this energy, man. I do. I dig this energy. I like this energy a lot, all right? I'll go ahead and see if I got any names coming through here of significance. That's interesting. I got the name Desi. Okay. I got the name Essie, Esmeralda. Kelly. Keelan. Kelsey. Valencia. Uma. Ursula. I mean, it's interesting. I think it's the Neptunian energy, you know, kind of coming through. I can't help it. Every time I think of Ursula, it makes me think of the Little Mermaid. And it's the same kind of energy as the Selkie. Like, be aware of chasing after dreams that require you to give up something that is your true empowerment, that require you to give up your voice or require you to cast aside something that's truly essential to your nature and is actually part of your purpose, okay? So I feel like a little bit of this evaluation energy coming in here too. You're looking at things a little bit more clearly. Really understanding what is the cost too of staying on a particular path. This is funny. I think this is speaking to a reactivation of that download that came in. I think it was a Nether portal report. I got, dude, you know, it's one of those experiences, okay? The next 48 hours, dude. And that says everything. If you know, you know. It's something of significance here that, like, when you see it, it's a moment of pause. It's a moment of pause because you realize, wow, it's been there all along and I didn't recognize it. That's what I really feel. It's been there all along and I didn't recognize it. And there's something about this that it really springs the key on what you felt like was a bit of evil, you know, something evil, something that was holding you back, something maybe even that you labeled a devil, but it's actually the way you deceived yourself, because this thing has been here all along. And it's the same old story. It's been playing out for eons here, and now you're finally like getting the memo. You're also going to recognize that you are not alone, okay? Michael Jackson energy coming through there, but also, like I was saying, there's traveling companions here, okay? And that's actually a big part of this path that's opening up. It's meant to connect you with your soulmates. It's meant to connect you with the people that are heading toward that same terminal that'll get you to that portal when we arrive at the Stargate, okay? And you may be surprised, you know. One of these people may be somebody that you labeled a devil, and then you realize they're not a devil, man. They're the angel in disguise. Well, so many fallen angels. So many fallen angels. I mean, even the devil used to be considered one of the brightest lights, right? I mean, it's all the lens that you look at it through. This also may be redeeming a part of yourself that you had vilified or perhaps had been demonized by others, and exalting it, rising it up. It gets its wings. You're getting your wings. There's some kind of elevation you're getting here through looking at something from a different angle. It looks different when you look at it this way. You wouldn't have seen it before if you hadn't had the experience you had. Sometimes certain rough experiences are necessary to get a certain view. The guy on. It's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. It's on like Donkey Kong, like something. It has that kind of force to it, I'm telling you. It has that kind of force to it. And I got LOL here, so I think you're going to be laughing a lot, you know, when this comes through. Something about what starts to surface over the next 48 hours. I think you're really going to see a lot of humor in it. I think you've been too caught up in the tragedy when it comes to the theater of life. It's time to embrace a little bit more comedy. There's something that's also coming in as comedic relief here. And that download is absolutely being activated. Dude, I think it was a portal report. So something's syncing up there too, all right? Because we know with these portal reports, the initiation of the energy comes in, and that's what we put the little framework around, the little reality tunnel view we have of the initiation of the energy, but they play out over time. And whenever you come to it is when you come to it. For some of you, I'm just going to bring it in. It's here. This could have something to do with an X and a cup that's being offered here, okay? The cup may be filled with something you don't expect. Don't have preconceived notions, right? Oh, that's hilarious. We do have Zeus here too. Is Zeus finally going to blow his load? Oh, finally we're going to free the Dionysian energy? Yes, please. Let's free the Dionysian energy. I also got the name Dion coming through here, okay? And the name Gina with an E. Ooh, but whatever's going on here, it's a moment where it's uno, okay? You're flipping up and reversing something like a game of uno. Or someone's doing this with you and it takes you by surprise, but I know it's a creative moment because it's coming through as DV. So this is a really interesting liminal space because when we look at that Dionysian energy, it is chaotic. And it can be very jovial and it can be a bit of gregariousness and sensuality and hedonism and all of that delicious exploration of all the thrills life has to offer. But it has, you know, the opposite side of the energy too, which can be vengeful, wrathful, intense. And it is a very liminal space kind of energy where there's a lot that can happen there in the space of chaos. And it's all about how you channel it, all right? But all I know is that when you're working with chaos, it is a creative force. So the more that you can give it room to sort of be what it wants to be, you can see the creative potential in it. What really distorts it and creates drama, and not the kind of drama we want here, where it's theater and it's playful and you can develop your character and you can embrace a more creative flow in your life. What tends to distort it and make it more destructive is any time we try to box it in. So this is breaking down the boxes, okay? Be aware that as this creative quality comes in, what has you shadow boxing with yourself, sort of fighting off with the places within yourself that has reasons for why you can't do this. And this is interesting. What just came in with the box is Cuba. Okay, so I don't know if there's something going on in Cuba in relation to a regime where something is maybe really shifting there. The people are saying no. Okay, that could be like a hotbed of activity. There's something happening there, and it's coming through with demiurge energy. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, so something could get really cooking in that part of the world, coming in a little macrocosmic energy. Interesting. But there is somebody who is saying hello here. Okay. So I do feel like there's some kind of meeting, conversation, connection, something of significance coming in within the next 48 hours that maybe shows you how to get out of hell and taste a little bit of heaven on earth, okay? That's how it's coming through, right? It's a creative energy, so don't resist this. I got the name D coming in around this, Deanna, Darian. Anything else? That's what I got. All right. And it was 1:16:44 on the clock. So yeah, powerful time of transformation, new foundations being put in place, blessings from Jupiter coming in, but you got to make good use of them, man. You can't let them go to waste. So do pay attention. Things are shifting. And I do feel like we're about to make a break from being held in Zeus's nutsack. And from there, it's anyone's guess. Godspeed.